Dr. Saroj Bishori, Research Fellow, Vivekananda International Foundation, Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché, Embassy of India in Jakarta, Indonesia, Lieutenant Colonel Taposh Munjal, Associate Director, Aerospace and Defense, KPMG, and Mr. Balpreet Singh, Senior Consultant, Ernst & Young. So we begin with the session, and I invite our Shri Arun Shukla, Deputy Regional Chairman, EPC India Northern Region. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Mayank. Eminent speaker in the panel, esteemed members of the audience, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to you all to the first and a very important session of the third edition of India MSME Defense Week on virtual platform. A strong and self-reliant defense industrial base is important for an independent nation building. The national defense and security policies are shaped by broad foreign policies, political and socio-economic factors influencing over time to time. Besides, the growing technological sophistication resulting in the increasing complexities of the defense sector, value chain, the international cooperation and interdependence is inevitable. In addition to the above, the need for battlefield-worthy technological and innovative edge makes the case for exploiting international cooperation even more viable for the defense sector. Besides, today the sector is also a lucrative and thriving market for the national wealth creation, which has further enhanced the scope for corporate linkages. In recent years, India too has taken the path of corporatization of its government-owned defense manufacturing ecosystem. According to one EPC India study, there are over 600 product tariff lines having dual use applications in the defense sector. This signifies that there is an immense need for sensitizing the growing stakes of international cooperation among the private sector MSMEs. India's engineering export reached an all-time high, $107 billion in financial year 2022-23. The Indian engineering fraternity has set the target for achieving $122 billion for the financial year 2023-24. In recent years, the Government of India has been actively pitching its defense products for exports in the overseas market. The Government of India has set an ambitious target of $5 billion of exports from the defense sector by 2025. The Indian defense and aerospace manufacturing sector has emerged as the important engineering product segment in the export growth. The Government of India's international cooperation initiatives would play an important role towards realization of goals of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. The Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, play a key role in facilitating and building linkages through international cooperation, and we are grateful that the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of External Affairs has extended their valuable support by participations in today's session. We are also grateful to the Department of Commerce and leading the initiatives from the front. I am grateful to all the speakers who have confirmed their availability and will be enlightening the industry with their valuable insights. I am thankful to our eminent guest speakers from various spheres who have graced this occasion. I am thankful to all the supporters and teamwork by EPC India, which has created this platform. I wish all the best to the participants and look forward to a very productive session. Thank you. Over to Matt.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us the your welcome remarks and setting the right tone for the rest of the session. May I now invite our first speaker, Dr. Saroj Bishoi, Research Fellow from Vivekanand International Foundation. Sir, over to you, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. May I audible?
Sir, very much
Yeah,
audible,
please
sir.
go ahead.
Yeah. So, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much for inviting me to such an important webinar. So, what I am going to do, provide an overview of India's defense export and what are the challenges and opportunities, especially for the MSMEs. The chair has already set the tone for the today's discussion. So just I'm going to highlight some of the important points in this regard. So India's defense, so far India's defense export is concerned, India is generally known as the largest importer of arms in the world. In last 5 years, India, with 11%, it was the leading importer of arms in the world. In past, defense export was not a key priority of domestic defense production. Indian government was also hesitant to promote defense exports to even friendly foreign countries. Bajpayee government brought policy measures to liberalize the defense industry in 2001 and subsequently opened the defense sector for private industries and defense exports where the defense exports really began to gain importance. Now, the last 7-8 years, the present government, under the flagship program Make in India and Self-Reliant India campaign, brought several measures, basically which revamped domestic defense production and arms procurement system. These led India to mark and to its presence felt in international arms market. So India's emergence as an important exporter of defense items in a highly competitive international market is a major development and will help achieve its defense and strategic priorities. So if you look at this slide, from 2016 and 17 financial year to the last financial year, in 7 years ago, India's total defense export was just over 1,500 crores. Now it is reached over about 16,000 crores. In this defense export, private sector played a critical role. In the last 7 years, the average export of contribution of private sector to the India's arms export is about 70%, whereas the public sector, they have contributed 30%. So this is the result of the present government's, the Modi government accorded a greater emphasis on the private sector's involvement in the defense sector and brought supportive policy measures, and also created a very conducive atmosphere for the defense, private defense sectors to play a larger role in for making India self-reliant in the defense sector. The objective was to make in India and make for the world. So here, under the defense acquisition procedure 2020, the key objectives that highlighted here, I have highlighted here, is to make India self-reliant in defense sector, then become a defense manufacturing hub, and to become India as a net defense exporter by 2025. So the objective is to achieve 5 billion $5 billion defense export by 2025, and to strengthen India's local defense production and become a key part of the global value chain. So the major items that we exported during this time, here are I listed some of the the major items that we exported, which includes armored vehicles, mine protected vehicles, Akash missile systems, then BrahMos, which we signed a mega deal with the Philippines, then attacks, Dornier aircraft, radar simulators, Pinaka rockets, and also includes the line replaceable units, parts and components of avionics and small arms. There is also growing demand from the friendly foreign countries about the aircraft carrier, LCA, Tejas, then MRO activities. So what are the major, the government took this for promoting defense export? If you do that, several measures have been taken in last few years. Defense export procedures were simplified and the industry friendly. Those are paid industry friendly. Then the delays were curtailed. They simplified industrial licensing processes. Now through OGL, once the license issued, they can use you for 1 year to issue the same licensing approval for exporting items. And the a line of credit is a very important aspect of India's defense export strategy. Under the line of credit, we are providing billions of dollars to African and South Asian countries where they can use this to import their defense equipment from India. And IDEX also a scheme was launched which provides 25% of defense R&D, and while complying with the international export control regimes, an SOP was also issued, which now further simplified the procedures. So the export leads also received from the various friendly funder countries. Those are disseminated through online portal. Then regular reviews of with India's missions abroad to promote defense products. Then defense attaches is now playing critical role in promoting our defense exports. Then a new defense attache scheme where they are provided financial assistance to promote the defense products of both public and private industries. Then now defense attaches also play they ask you to distribute the defense manuals in local languages, which helps our friendly foreign countries to familiarize with India's defense products and export policy. So far we have organized more than 40 webinars with friendly foreign countries for promoting these products. Then ministry has also proposed to set up export promotion body and developed. So if you look at all these policy measures that we have brought, it provides a good defense production and export strategy. So India's if now looking at the India's arms export to the friendly foreign countries, now India's about 100 countries, companies, they are exporting our defense product to more than 85 countries in different regions, Africa, South Asia, West Asia, and also includes major countries like USA. In Africa, Mauritius accounted for 6.6% of India's arms export in 2017 to 21, and Mozambique 5% and Seychelles 2.3%. Hall has recently signed a contract with Mauritius for exporting ALS Mark III helicopter, and earlier it already, Mauritius is already operating Hull-built helicopter and also the Dornier aircraft. India has also provided about 14 billion line of credit to 42 countries. They are now using this line of credit to purchase Indian arms. So now the first India-Africa Army Chiefs conclave was held in Pune, where 10 army chiefs and senior military officers from 31 countries participated in the event that focused on further strengthening defense cooperation. In March 2023, India and African countries conducted the Appendex military exercises. On the sidelines of this exercise, and India, displayed various defense products. So, and the Indian also they used it during joint military exercises. So now the countries like South Africa, Bahrain, Egypt, Kenya, Algeria, among other African countries, have shown interest in acquiring major platforms, military platforms such as Arjun tanks, Pinaka rockets, launchers, BrahMos missiles, and Akash missile systems. In Southeast Asia, Myanmar, we are exporting to Myanmar over 50% of our defense, goes to Myanmar in Southeast Asia, and but we are not that, the leading exporter to them. Russia and China, they are exporting 42% and 29% respectively. If you see the last 5 years. With the Philippines, in January 22, we signed this major deal, the BrahMos, and now the Southeast Asian countries have shown interest to acquire other defense equipment. So in June 2022, India handed over 12 high-speed guard boats to Vietnam under the line of credit scheme. So if you see, these are our growing defense cooperation with the Southeast Asian countries, and now this addition of the defense exports. It meets the vision of the Prime Minister Sagar policy and Act East policy. This also helps the Southeast Asian countries to counter the China's growing military assertiveness in this region. In West Asia, Saudi Arabia and UAE are two major importers of our defense equipment, and they have also shown keen interest to buy BrahMos missiles and Akash missile systems. In South Asia, our neighborhood, under the neighborhood first policy, we are committed to further strengthen our relationship with all the South Asian countries. Now the Bangladesh, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, and they are using our defense equipment, and now under a total of 37 line of credit worth over $14 billion for 162 projects to Bangladesh, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, and Sri Lanka have been provided. And through this, the China is a major exporter of arms in our region. Pakistan, China, which is in the world over 5% exports. Pakistan imports more than 50% of China's defense equipment. Then Bangladesh. So our growing defense export to these countries will provide alternative, and also they help address the China's growing military threats. But look, if you look at the USA, which we have been over the last 2 decades, we have imported more than $22 billion of defense and technologies, and USA is a major supplier of technologies to us. But last few years, if you see, our defense industries has become an integral part of the USA supply value chains. Recently, USA, the Charles Joe arrived in Chennai, where the Indian private industries provided the MRO services to them. So Index S Challenge also launched with the two technologies identified they will partner to develop. So with USA, USA is a big, the exporter of arms. Integrating to the USA on the global supply chain, it will help further improve, the defense exports. But if you look, still there are a lot of challenges remain. India is not still, the major exporter of arms. In 2022 CPI report, it was just 0.2% of it was having share in global arms market. And last year it figured in 23 list, but this year it was not even the 25 top exporters. So India's arms export only constitute 0.2%, which is very minimal. India's arms export basket, if you see, there are not major except 2-3 items like BrahMos. Other are very small items, so parts and components. So India facing, India needs to export big major ticket items. India's exports also constitute very small percent of its defense production, which is less than 15% of total in the last financial year. So, and private sector, they also need to play a major role in defense production, which is currently 19%. Here is I have prepared the segment wise the defense production during the last financial year. Here the private sector 19%, the DPSUs 59%, OFB 16%, and other PSUs or JVs they constitute 6%. So if you last 7-8 years, private sector, they played major role in India's defense export. But the defense production, so far is concerned, their presence contribution is minimum. So their percentages should be increased because the private sectors, they have their drive to look for market and sell their products. Then FDI, which we have increased from 14%, 74% to automatic route through 100% through government route, and this even after increasing this defense export, we are not able to attract measured investment or develop a joint production or joint production as co-development. So this is if last few years, if you see total FDI we received, it's quite more than $300 billion overall. But in defense sector, there is like hardly, there is very minimum FDI we have attracted. Is very minimal. Defense now the defense R&D ecosystem also needs to be further strengthened. We have where we are facing challenges. Silos of defense production were kept tightly insulated from the private sector, and need to create interface between the people who create knowledge and people who consume the knowledge. There is at present there is a bit gap between the knowledge creator and the manufacturer and the ultimate the consumer. That needs to be there is a challenge. So now the opportunities arising in the defense sector, if you see the global value chain is now dramatically shifting, especially after the COVID-19 outbreak, where we have faced the supply of the semiconductor shortage, the Ukraine war, now the geopolitical war, and a great power competition between the US and China. So the global tech companies, including the Apple, Micron, those are also revamping their global supply chain, where India is situated in a very sweet geopolitical sweet spot, and India in a better position to through various reforms and that have been brought, and given our geopolitical and defense convergence of geopolitical and defense and security interest with the major powers, there is also now alignment with democratic countries, between democratic countries. For example, the ISET was launched with the USA, GE Hall signed this F414 jet engine deal. Quad also come together to develop defense critical technology. Then Apple and Micron, they are also shifting and partnering with India. So now, if you see, there is also, if you see the ongoing war in Ukraine, where the Russia is traditionally is a major arms supply to us. Now there is a huge opportunity to supply them, and Russia's, China's, and Germany's last 5 years, as per CPRI report, their contribution in the international arms market has come down. 31%, 23%, and 35% respectively. So here there is a scope for further increasing our defense export in these areas. So DAP Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020 also encourages creates a scope for the for the private sector startups and to make indigenous products. Now, most recently, this fifth positive indigenization list released where 94 products were identified, and those are worth more than 140,000 crores. This will be applied indigenously produced. So DDP list also identified various countries like Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Spain, Russia, Chile, Israel, Ethiopia. So these countries also, the future we can export defense items to these countries. Now, major defense platforms also there are like BrahMos. Besides BrahMos, there is helicopters, then protective items, and then surveillance systems. Those areas also have been identified. So these export of these items will help further increase our defense export. All this will create a further opportunity for the MSMEs. So the growing global demand for there is a growing demand for the aircraft carrier, LC aircraft, and many countries expressed their desire to purchase our BrahMos and other advanced including the aircrafts, other missiles also. So now the MOD released last year, July 2022, 75 AI products where there is many of them are produced by the DPSUs, where the private sector can also partner, and they are having dual use purposes. That means civilian and military. Civilian products can be used, can be sold. The market further will increase for those goods. India's share of, if you see the 0.2% in the world market, it's not a true representation of India's defense the capability or capacities. DRDO has developed the over 160 defense products which from aeronautical systems, armaments, combat systems, electronics, communication systems. These are available for the for selling the friendly for foreign countries. At present, private sectors are basically the contributing more into the defense exports. Contribution of this DPSUs will further significantly increase our defense export. So, nevertheless, the conceptual level or the philosophies that were earlier now becoming reality, and growing strategic partnership with major powers like USA or the France further will help strengthen India's defense cooperation, and also will help integrate India into the global defense market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It was really a detailed overview and very comprehensive piece of information for us. And we believe that this will really prove very beneficial for our engineering fraternity. And we thank you once again to you. So now maybe if we would like to invite our next speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Taposh Munjal, who is Associate Director, Aerospace and Defense in KPMG. Sir, over to you, sir. Mr. Munjal? Sir, your voice is not clear, sir. So if you wish, we can come back to you again after inviting the next speaker, sir. I'm sorry, sir, your voice is not clear at all. Okay, sir. So then, then we will, sir, move on to our next speaker. Then we shall invite you, sir, after. So once you are comfortable, sir. Okay. So maybe now invite our next speaker, Mr. Balpreet Singh, senior consultant from Ernst & Young.
Thank you, Mayank. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, please.
I think there's a problem with my camera, so I'll continue.
Yes, sir, please continue.
I'll just share one presentation. Let me know when the screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
It's visible?
Yeah. Can you please make it full screen?
Yeah. So, thank you very much. And I'll be speaking on international partnerships in aerospace and defense and the opportunities that we have for exports from India. So first, speaking about the generic strategic partnerships that India has with a host of countries from around the world, like from the US to various European nations, that is UK, Germany, France, also with Russia. With Russia, we have a long-standing strategic partnership, especially in defense and nuclear energy, and they're a major supplier for defense equipments to India. And we also collaborate in space exploration and other areas. With Japan, we have a strong partnership, which is focused on economic and infrastructure projects. And Japan is a significant investor in infrastructure and high-speed rail projects as well. With Australia, we recently improved our partnership, which has been very well over the years. And we've increased joint naval exercises, and we are having increasing cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region as well. Then moving on to the ASEAN countries, India has always been focused towards the east. As we remember earlier, our policy used to be to look east, and which has now been changed to act east. So this policy has strengthened our ties with Asian countries and specifically the ones in the ASEAN region, with a focus on trade, cultural exchange, and security cooperation. Now, when I say security cooperation, there has been a lot of joint exercises along with the ASEAN nations, and also it's a very, very big and a favorable market for the Indian aerospace and defense industry. Then moving on to the Middle Eastern nations, over the years, India has had a strong partnership with several Middle East countries, primarily in energy, trade, and a lot of Indians are working in the countries in the Middle East. And the Gulf countries are crucial to India for supply of oil and gas. And moving on to the African nations, India has recently enhanced its ties with most of the African nations. If we remember, during the last Aero India, there was a delegation of 30 chiefs of defense staff of various African nations that visited the Aero India. And there's a renewed focus now of India on with regards to export of defense equipment to these African nations. Moving to Brazil and South Africa, primarily through the BRICS, whose other partners are China and Russia, India has always had a strategic partnership with both Brazil and South Africa, which focuses on multiple areas like economy, technology, and it's also a very important platform through BRICS, where India talks about the South-South cooperation. Which is also being one of the major stakeholders in that are also Brazil and South Africa. Then the neighboring countries, we have very good ties and partnerships with Bangladesh, with Myanmar as well. We have strong ties with Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan. So what are the emerging export opportunities for the MSMEs? So as you're aware, the overall exports of the nation have increased over the years, and there is huge demand for quality aerospace and defense components across the globe. So with India's growing defense ties with countries like the United States, Russia, and Australia, there's an increasing demand of defense equipment, and MSMEs can focus on manufacturing specialized components, ancillaries, and subsystems which are needed for the larger platforms. Then MRO services, that is maintenance, repair, and overhaul. As India is focused on strengthening its aerospace and defense partnerships with nations across the world, there's a need for MRO services and a trusted MRO partner in the Asian region, which is primarily done today by countries like Malaysia and Singapore. But as there are a lot of legacy systems, when I say legacy systems in service in the Asian countries, I mean the Russian origin systems, and India also has them. And India has developed its capability in servicing those equipment. There's a huge opportunity for those countries as well to have their equipment serviced in India. So MSMEs can tap into the market by providing MRO services for defense vehicles, aircrafts, and naval ships. Then defense technology and software, with everything moving on to digitization, especially the defense systems as well. There's a growing market for defense software, cybersecurity solutions, and communication systems. So Indian MSMEs with expertise in these areas can obviously find export opportunities, especially with countries like the US and Israel. Then aerospace components and assemblies. As the aerospace industry is another area of significant export potential, Indian MSMEs can manufacture components and assemblies for civilian and military aircraft, catering to countries like France, United States, and other original equipment manufacturers. As you're aware, the Airbus is recently signed contracts with regards to manufacturing of their aero engines as well in India for the commercial aircraft, followed by the C295. Then collaboration in R&D. There's a huge opportunity for collaboration with foreign partners in research and development. MSMEs can engage in joint development of new technologies and systems, particularly in advanced areas like UAVs, avionics, and satellite technology. Then training and simulators. There's an increasing demand for advanced training and simulation systems in the defense sector across the world. And Indian MSMEs can have the niche and the know-how to develop and export world-class simulator software and training equipment around the world. So one of the best examples is Zen Technologies, which is based in Hyderabad, which is again back new another order of their infantry simulator. Then moving on to supply chain integration. By integrating into the global supply chain for major defense and aerospace manufacturers, Indian MSMEs can become part of the global market. This can be facilitated through strategic partnerships with countries having robust aerospace and defense industries. And finally, cybersecurity solutions. As the modern warfare includes cyber elements, there's a growing demand for cybersecurity solutions. The MSMEs can use their expertise and find significant export opportunities in this area as well. Here are some country-specific environment and priorities. I don't need to explain them. They are self-explanatory. Like with the United States, we could focus on cutting-edge technologies and unmanned systems and joint development under the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative. As you're aware, India and the US have signed a lot of agreements in the recent past, especially in this year gone by, which are primarily focused on enhancing aerospace and defense technology across India and across different fields. Then Russia, there's an opportunity for spare parts of Russian equipment. There's also an opportunity to do joint research and development on newer and niche technologies, especially like hypersonic missiles. With European Union, there are, as you're aware, most of the companies in Europe are a consortium of different nations. So there's an opportunity for aircraft components. They can have JVs in technology, space, and cybersecurity. Then with Japan, there's a need and a focus on dual-use technologies and maritime security. Australia for naval defense system surveillance, reconnaissance technology, and joint exercises. Middle East is another favorable market for India for its cybersecurity solutions and surveillance. UAE, as an example, has been engaged a lot with India with regards to defense trade. Then, as I said earlier, the African nations are a huge opportunity. It's a huge and an emerging opportunity. So light weapons, armored vehicles, communication systems, and very importantly, counterinsurgency training is something that's another area where India can offer assistance. Then South America, there is a huge market. We've recently been hearing about the light combat aircraft being offered to Argentina, and some of our helicopters developed by HAL are also in service with Ecuador and Bolivia. And that's a huge opportunity with China primarily having a major foothold in the South American market. India can use its expertise and quality and technology know-how and the embassies present over there to to promote defense exports of naval equipment, jungle warfare equipment, and the Tejas, obviously. Then finally, the ASEAN countries, there can be a focus on patrol vessels, surveillance systems, the Tejas, and UAVs for various purposes for maritime and border security and for the other industries as well. Some of the initiatives of the government to promote defense exports have been the Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy, which was basically drafted in the year 2020. And it's focused on enhancing the defense production and the defense exports in the country. Then the offset policy, India's offset policy from foreign suppliers includes clauses that benefit domestic industries, including MSMEs, by mandating foreign suppliers to invest a portion of the contract value in India, thereby enhancing the MSMEs' technological and manufacturing expertise. Then liberalizing FDI in defense. The government recently has liberalized the FDI, making 100% FDI through the through the 74% through the automatic route and the 100% through intervention of the government, obviously. But that involves getting in modern technology into the country, wherein there's no expertise as yet. So the MSMEs can also focus on this by tying up with companies where they feel that the niche technology is not presently in India. They can develop that technology, and that would also allow foreign investment. Then promotion at international defense expos. Recently, we've noticed a very, very good thing that is being done by the Ministry of Defense. That is, at all the flagship defense exhibitions that happen across the world, be it aerospace or defense, India has started having a separate pavilion wherein India promotes the private sector companies and the defense DPSUs to display their products. And this is definitely a welcome change with regards to marketing our defense products across the globe. Then streamlining the export licensing process. The government has streamlined the licensing process for defense manufacturing, making it easier for the companies to enter into the defense production sector, as well as streamlining the export licensing process. So it's changed in such a way that today export licenses, clearances to companies are being given within 10 days of submitting your application, obviously subject to all documentation being in order. So that's a very good thing. Then quality assurance and testing infrastructure. As you're aware, in order to promote your exports and in order to promote defense production in the country, we need to have good quality assurance mechanisms and the right testing infrastructure in place in the nation. Okay. Jyoti. Sorry.
Members from the audience,
आपले पण
maybe
आता
request
तहसीलदार मॅडम आहेत नंतर जाधव.
Mr. Sachin
ते पण
Patil.
आहेत की सर त्यांच्याकडे प्रभावी चार्जिंग आहे त्यांचे मिस्टर बरं बरं
Participants, we are requesting you to please mute your audios.
So,
thank you.
So the testing infrastructure also helps how the industry and the manufacturers is. Tomorrow, when somebody goes to a foreign nation to export their particular product, the first question being asked is your product in service with the Indian military? But while the product might not be in service with the Indian military, but has the technical quality of being in service with the other nations, still the government of India offers a fit for Indian military use certificate to that particular manufacturer, which that manufacturer can show to the importing nation and go ahead with the exports. So this is another very good step being taken by the service headquarters and the Ministry of Defense. Lastly, the export promotion schemes. Schemes like the export promotion capital goods, the duty exemption and the remission scheme and others support defense exporters through various incentives and tax exemptions. Some of the key areas of the aerospace and defense value chain, which the MSMEs can focus on, are aerostructures and airframe components, manufacturing and supply of critical airframe components like fuselage parts, wing components, and tail assemblies. This includes both metallic and composite materials. Avionics and electronics, development and production of avionics systems such as navigation systems, flight control systems, and communication systems. This also includes electronic warfare and surveillance systems. Then propulsion systems, components for aircraft engines and propulsion systems, including parts like blades, vanes, and casings. Small and specialized engine parts for UAVs and drones, also present huge opportunities. Then landing gear and hydraulics. The manufacturing of parts of landing gear systems, including struts, wheels, brakes, and hydraulic systems. Missiles and munitions. The production of components for missiles and munitions, including casings, propulsion systems, and guidance systems. Then UAVs and drones are definitely a huge opportunity. Then specialized materials, production of specialized materials used in aerospace and defense offer a very, very high opportunity, especially in today's day and age when there is primarily a monopoly by one particular nation. India needs to develop its capabilities in specialized materials, and this would obviously allow for exports as well, such as of high strength alloys, composites, and advanced ceramics. Then training and simulation, developing advanced training and simulation systems for military applications, including flight simulators, virtual reality-based training tools, land-based simulators, offer very huge opportunity. Then optics and photonics, production of precision optics and photonics components for use in targeting systems, reconnaissance, and surveillance equipment. Defense clothing and personal wear. This is a very, very important aspect. Why? Because in today's day and age, textiles and the way textiles react to the modern technology used in aerospace and defense is becoming a game changer. From camouflage nets to high-end textiles for radar absorption, all these are new and niche technologies that can be focused on. Then software and systems integration, providing software solutions for defense applications, including system integration, data analytics, and command and control systems. So this is a short presentation by me. Here is my contact if anybody would like to get in touch or has any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for this very valuable and insightful presentation, and especially those key areas of the value chain which you highlighted, where our esteemed industrial engineering fraternity can certainly look forward to engage and expand their market footprints. Thank you very much once again. Now we shall move on to our next speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Taposh Munjal. Sir, can we invite you to the?
Yes.
Can we invite you? Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So first of all, deep apologies from my side for the connectivity issues. And when we have such seminars, I'm sorry, the systems don't play up to that. And incidentally, while Mayank called me to join this seminar, I was rushing back from a meeting in South Block, running back to join this call. And it was basically on how the MOD is focusing on the export orientation for the platforms. So as we Mayank had very good coordinator. He asked me, sir, if you have a presentation. I said, no, I don't have a presentation, but yes, I want it to be more candid, because the last few days, I think, prepped me for this particular talk, because a series of meetings which I had in last few days with the defense industry and the promotions which are happening from the states, from the federal structure, were talking about, were leading me to this conversation we're going to have right now. So a brief introduction about myself. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Taposh Munjal, and I was in Indian Army for 22 plus years. Then I took a VRS from the Army and joined KPMG in the Aerospace and Defense vertical. I have been part of the Financial Planning Directorate, which looks after the capital acquisition budget of the Indian Army. I also take this topic of capital acquisition, export orientation, industry participation with National Institute of Financial Management at Faridabad. This is one of the topics I take my trainings on when the defense officers come for their orientation on financial management. So that is a brief introduction. I am also an alumni of Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University, where I did my executive MBA. And before I left, I did a short MDP course of 6 months from IIM Lucknow. Now moving on to the talk for today. So let's take a step back for about, let's say 20 years or maybe 25 years and look at the defense industry. Or even before that, it has been a forte which only the DPSUs could tread on or put their feet on. And it never had orientation where the private sector would come in and would be part of the production or even part of the design or the MSME ecosystem. The entire thing was being done by the DPSUs or the ordnance factories, the 41 ordnance factories. Incidentally, when our team took over this mantle of changing these corporatization, took up the mantle with Department of Defense Production to take up the corporatization of ordnance factories. We also realized that finally the production of actual things was taking place at about 5 to 6 factories, while the others were just supporting those products which were being made by these major 5 or 6 ordnance factories, right? So coming to, let's say, maybe 2000, 2005, when the defense industry started to put its feet in India, and we came up with this liberal policy of in having producing itself in India, reducing our defense the dependency on the foreign countries, and we wanted to have it on our own. We came up with a lot of systems. We came up with policies which have already been discussed at length. So a few things which actually were kind of missed out was talking a few initiatives which have come up in last few years and would see the private industry to grow in India. First thing, I would always talk of the positive indigenization list. There are two kinds of this positive indigenization list. I'm sure everybody is aware. There are two of them. One is called the positive indigenization list for the platforms, and the second one is called the positive indigenization list for the DPSUs or the component levels. So if you look at the platform level indigenization list, it always talks of this. The platforms are banned from import from deadlines which are given against them. Subsequently, when we came up with the positive indigenization lists for the DPSUs, they were meant for the spares or the component levels, where subsequently these components will be manufactured in India. Then we also spoke of, when we talk of the defense industry in India, we would always say that the defense industry in India should not, I say, only look at MOD or the associated departments as our potential customers. The potential of Indian defense industry to export, which was brought out by the first speaker and subsequently by the second speaker also. The potential is high amongst the countries in Latin America, Southeast Asia, or Middle East and Africa, or we call it MENA. That is because the affordability of these countries to buy out the equipment which are European based or American based is pretty low. The economies can't support it. And Indian defense industry, traditionally, if you go back, a lot of manufacturers who have been part of this forum or the SIDM have been able to supply the requirements to the Indian defense forces, Indian Army. A few of them, like a manufacturer of bulletproof jackets, which is based out of Delhi and Faridabad, so consequently looked for the next orders in Africa. A top drone company in India, which supplied to Indian Army last year, is now looking at African countries and Sri Lanka, and they've got a lot of footprint in Latin America as well. Similarly, is another company which makes protective gears for Indian defense forces. Came up with innovative products in the protective gear. Now looks forward to Middle East, Africa, and Latin America as their potential products. Again, going back to what discussion I was having in the South Block just before this webinar started, was about the Ministry of Defense orientation to find places to countries where they can export. So another positive step, I should say, from Ministry of Defense which has come is initially there are defense forces officers who are called defense attaches were posted to the countries which were for our import orientation. The countries from where we were looking for imports, from whom we should take out a market feedback, what kind of products are available. So these officers would look for these products outside and maybe the contribute for them to come to India. Now the orientation of MOD directions is that please post your defense attaches to countries where we are looking for an export orientation. So that is another big changeover of the mindset which has come in last few years, where we look at these countries where we want to export, and we have these capability to export. Another aspect of export orientation, which the speaker before me from EY also brought out, was being part of the global supply chain. And the bigger part of the discussion which happens and a lot of forums which are existing is to get the MRO for the aviation industry in India. So the forum would be aware a lot of products for Airbus, Lockheed Martin are produced by TESL and a few of the countries in India. With TESL taking up the mandate for C295 aircraft coming to India, the 40 of them being manufactured out of Gujarat. The production would also bring up a lot of opportunities for the defense for the MSME sectors to come in and be part of this global supply chain. We had a huge order being placed by the Indian aviation industry in last few years. I believe about 1,000 of them in the last years. So these come with another opportunity for the MRO for the aviation sector to come up in India. At present, the government is trying to, the MOD is trying to push that this MRO industry should, if it comes to India, if we want it to be boosted to India, we need to have a liberal taxation regime for them to come up in India. While there are places in Southeast Asia where these aircrafts would go for their periodical maintenance, repairs, based out of Changi in and Sri Lanka, but they would never stay in India. Our own aircraft from Indigo fly to Changi and Sri Lanka for their repairs and overhauls. So coming back to this global supply chain, part of the global value chain that we want to be part in, MRO becomes a critical part where now Airbus has already tied up with HAL and they want to up the level of MROs in India. Air India, though sold out, never sold out the part of AIETPL. GMR has a MRO facility. We have huge forums whether we want to take on the MROs for the aircraft, the regular maintenance of the aircraft, or we come to finally the repair and overhaul of the engines or any part of it. So understanding that, the MSME ecosystem, which comes along with the MROs, with the export orientation, with the platforms being manufactured in India, the orientation being towards export and not only towards the defense industry for the MOD and the Army, Navy, Air Force in India. This already gives a boost to the industries who are part of the MSME ecosystem to come up along with it. Going another step further, when I mentioned about the defense industrial corridor, incidentally, KPMG has been part of both the defense industrial corridor, the Tamil Nadu Defense Industrial Corporation and UP Defense Industrial Corridor, which is now coming up at both these locations. Tamil Nadu has almost been at a very higher stage. UPDIC has got investments close to about 28,000 crores. MOUs being signed with big platform or companies like BrahMos is already there. AVNL is signed MOU. Adani Defense would be coming in. Bharat Forge is coming up with a facility here. So with this 6 nodes and about 6 specific areas, the MSME ecosystem is bound to come up with that. I can't have a HAL manufacturing and overall facility coming up in Lucknow without my MSME ecosystem not being there, or spares being coming down south. The kind of long supply chain that comes up along with it and the cost associated will definitely not be there. And being one of a nodal person with the UP Defense Industrial Corridor, I can tell you with lot of confidence that if we have the bigger players coming in, if we are looking at the airport coming up on the Noida Expressway as a logistic airport, MSME ecosystem will be an integral part of it, because the industry doesn't look at. I don't want to look outside. The industry doesn't want to look outside for its fulfilling the requirements of its spares or the basic requirements or the component level, right? I think we have a question. I'll take it in the end. And before I conclude, one thing I would say that from the DPSU's perspective also, we had our DPSUs which had issues with their kind of efficiency, I should say, or high overheads. But with the corporatization, government pushing hard, and this positive Indianization is coming up, these open up the opportunities for the MSMEs to be part of this entire defense manufacturing ecosystem. And I think I've taken about 15 minutes. There was a question, I can't see it right now. If Mayank, if you can see, you can read it out to me, please.
Sir, yes, there is a question from Mr. Vijay Bharti. He
Yeah.
asks that for MSMEs, will there be any orientation for getting to understand the defense requirement? What is the procedure for getting qualified for supplying to defense sector?
Right. So there are two ways. If I look at, I'm not very sure of what kind of MSME Mr. Bharti is part of. If would have told, then I could have told you. So let's go back to, let's say, component level or say positive indigenization list. Now there are two ways that we are looking at it. There are two levels of repairs that the equipment is being done. One is that, sorry, right. So I'll continue. So there are two levels. One is at the services level where the procurement happens. It talks of, Saloni, if you can just mute yourself, please. Yeah, thank you. So we're talking of two, if I talk of the component level MSME ecosystem, one is that the spare, the positive indigenization which has come is required by two forums. One by the in-service, the services carry out their repairs and maintenance on their own, where they are looking for continuing the life of the equipment or maintaining the life of the equipment. That procurement procedure is simpler, that the product which you are supplying, which you are trying to manufacture or getting into the manufacturing is available, and most of the procurements of these happen on GEM. Now, the second part is where you be part of the production value chain, and you would say that I would supply these sub-assemblies or the components to the manufacturing unit. Now, at that point, also the most of these procurements happen at GEM, and you would have to approach the respective DPSUs responsible for the indigenization of that component or the sub-assembly, so that they would certify, yes, you are okay to supply and be part of whenever the manufacturing or the demand occurs. I hope that answers the question. If not, I would request the speaker to still have any doubts. The person who questioned this, Mr. Bharti, please.
Sir, and sir, maybe request that due to the timeline we have to follow. So if you can just continue, then we'll take up the question session separately at the last.
Sure. So Mayank, I'm so sorry. I thought the timelines would be there.
Not an issue, sir, at all. So we are grateful.
Yeah. So I say Mr. Bharti has already replied on the chat. We'll take the questions later. And any questions that you have on this session or on the defense industrial corridors or the manufacturing or the export orientation, please put it in the chat. I'm sure Mayank will not leave us before I answer the questions. Thank you. Over to you, Mayank.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing such a detailed and insightful piece of information with us. So now we invite our next speaker, Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché, Embassy of India in Jakarta, Indonesia. So over to you, sir, please.
Thanks a lot, EPC. I'm Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché to Indonesia and Timor-Leste. I'm happy to be part of this discussion. And so far, we have heard speakers talking from our point of view. I joined here on actually July 6th. So I'm finishing exactly 5 months. So I would like to present the perspective from this side. I am just trying to see how to present it. One second. I have to upload and open a file.
So you have to open it and then share it, sir. If you want, sir, we can also do that.
Once. Is it visible now, the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It's true.
I'm able to see it. Yeah, so without much ado, we will just proceed because of the timelines given, 12 to 15 minutes to cover this topic. The terms of reference given to me was as flashed, overview of the Indonesian defense industry, areas of cooperation between India and Indonesia in the defense sector, and possible areas of opportunity, emerging opportunities through India's strategic partnerships and country-specific environment priorities. So to begin with, Indonesian defense industry has got one holding company called Defense Industries Indonesia, and one of the state-owned enterprise PT LEN is the holding company, under which it has got 5 companies, including itself, and they all have their vertical specialization. PT LEN is for electronics and system integration, like our Bharat Electronics. PT Dahana is for explosive drilling, blasting, and for propellants. PT Pindad for small arms, ammunition, special vehicles, excavators, mining, and also a little bit on cyber. PT Dirgantara, it makes aircrafts, both fixed as well as rotary, and PT Pal is shipbuilding. This is more akin to Rosoboron export kind of an entity they wanted to make, where under one umbrella they have all the companies. They also intend to use this kind of defense sector for exports. And now going ahead, their main philosophy is to have a minimum essential force dictated by their threat perception, their location, and the neighbors and other factors. So that is what determines how the defense industry, defense armed forces is shaped. Till 1998, it was a dictatorship, and they had a phased transition to democracy until 2004. That is where they had their first proper elections. And many of their policies have got crystallized in the last around 10 to 15 years. So they have now come out with a 3-5-year period and allocated $55 billion from 2020 to 2034, where this 55 billion for a 5-year period will be kept sacrosanct, and they will play around with the yearly allocation of budget as per requirement. In this year, just now, last week, it's a big news where the budget for the next financial year has increased from 20.75 billion US dollars to 25 billion dollars US dollars. So this is possibly in keeping with the latest developments in the world, like the Russia-Ukraine war which is going on, and then what is happening in West Asia. So that may have motivated them to increase the budget for the next financial year. At the same time, they are going for presidential elections next year. One of the forerunners is the present defense minister, who also was a 3-star general when he retired in 1998. And there are 2 more candidates for the presidential election. And so far, some of the policies and acquisitions has also been personality centric. And it is envisaged that if the defense minister, Mr. Prabowo Subianto, comes to power, he has a stated policy of revamping their defense sector, including the defense industry, and increasing the budget for defense from presently around 0.7 to 0.8% of GDP to around 1.2%. So it depends on the outcome of the presidential election, because it's a very powerful institution, the president's office, and a lot gets dictated by the outcome of the president and the personality of the president. And now for the opportunities, basically, we have presently talks going on from government to government, intergovernment agreements for various things, including some surface missile aircraft like LCA. In addition to that, there are possibilities of collaboration and cooperation in many sectors. The first being is shipbuilding. Although they have a very good shipbuilding yard, PT Pal in Surabaya, they have not yet made a submarine. The only submarine which has come out of the yard has been an integration, where most of the hull was prepared in South Korea and they integrated it. They are looking at a partnership to build submarines, and they are in talks with the naval group for Scorpion. And here, why I had highlighted this on top is that we have already made 6, and there's going to be a follow-on order of 3 more. That expertise is there. And as per our MOU with the naval group, we are also allowed for export from MDL. So there is a huge scope of submarine and shipbuilding with submarine building with Indonesia as a collaborative approach. Now, the inventory that the Indonesian Air Force and the Indian Air Force has is quite similar. They also have Sukhoi 30. They have placed order for Rafale, 42 of them. And as of now, MRO is not envisaged as part of that deal. And we, on the other hand, have gone for the naval variant also of Rafale. And there is reasons to believe that MRO facility for Rafale is likely to fructify. In addition, we already are able to do full servicing for Sukhoi 30. So these are areas that can be partnered with Indonesia. Due to the Russia-Ukraine crisis, they are already facing problems in keeping their fleet of Sukhoi 30s flying. And they had approached, but some other factors have come in and they have gone for repair and overhaul of those aircrafts through other party. However, in future, the possibility of collaboration in this area is always there. Now, 5G India stack is one of the areas which may be unique to Indonesia. It is a country which is having 17,500 islands. It's an archipelagic country. So the cellular connectivity between the islands and people is it's a huge infrastructure project, and it's a matter of consideration by the government. This 5G India stack is being developed by IIIT Hyderabad, and I think there's a test bench also running, and we are also likely to start using it in our tactical applications. So a collaboration in this area, which is very unique to this country because of their geography and the way their population spread out, the way their islands are spread out, can be explored. And another thing which I have observed is that many of their government websites, their emails are still either Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo. And there is not much of penetration of digital security, cyber security, like public encryption, RSA, or any of those used in their offices or even in their armed forces. Although their banking and that sector is quite robust and safe, but the same is not percolated down to institutional level of information keeping, sharing, storage. So there's another area that that one can collaborate. Drone and UAV is now being looked at by everybody. The nature of warfare has changed, and they are no exception. Because again, the cost of repetition, they are a huge country, and they have to be able to monitor their space, their airspace, their waters, and also over land. And there are places which are not approachable. So UAVs and drones is something that they are very keenly looking out for. The last one I'm not able to see from here, but I believe that was HADR equipment. Now, Indonesia is in geographic location called the Ring of Fire, where they have earthquakes, volcanoes, as well as floods happening very frequently. And their I'm sorry. And their military is also heavily invested in the HADR activities in the country. And this is a point of concern. A lot of their budget allocation is also towards equipment, which can be used for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. And this is another unique area where we can collaborate. Now, these I have put as challenges and opportunities because each one of them is actually a challenge. However, it can also be converted into an opportunity. The way the Indonesian authorities do business is to have a channel partner who is registered as a company in Indonesia. So what that means is an Indian company cannot directly speak to the user. They have to go through a local company, which actually is a channel partner. Now, and this channel partner come with their own expertise, skill. They have their networks, and they give some kind of services which they will do better here. than our companies who has to do a different kind of activity, and they can focus on their core work. So choosing a channel partner is very important because these channel partners typically have more than one parent company, and their level of motivation and all can wane sometimes. However, there are few who are having good networks, good connection, and highly motivated. They will be able to swing deals very rapidly. So here, the opportunity is that we find a good channel partner where, of course, the embassy tries to help out. We try to do some kind of background check and just see see how their past records have been, and also what is advisable, if it permits, is to have a permanent presence here. In case HAL, for example, or L&T, for example, wants to do a lot of business with the Indonesian military, then just having a channel partner and trying to manage things from India may not work that efficiently. To be physically here and to be meeting people and also breathing down the channel partner's neck may be helpful. So it's one of the recommendations from our side that in addition to finding good channel partner, to have a presence here, if not permanently, at least for a considerable period of time, would be helpful. In my 5 months, the biggest problem that we have faced is this classification of procurement under buyer's credit. So most of their budget allocation is for acquisition under this scheme. What this means, most of us would be already aware, is that once there's a technical bid and L1 bid, thereafter the OEM is required to get a fund proposal cleared from export or an agency or credit agency from the host country, who will take this loan proposal, and the Ministry of Finance of Indonesia will be the sovereign guarantee. So here we have we already have a live case where we hit a roadblock, and Exim Bank, Export Import Bank of India, is the authorized credit agency from India to service such requirements, and they were unable to do due to a clause of lethality. If Exim Bank takes money from market, then there is this ESG compliance, the internal compliance that the bank has to conform to, and they were finding it, they were unable to accept this loan proposal. So we were in a position where, despite winning a contract under global competition, we were having to let go of an opportunity purely because we were not able to conform to the requirement of procurement under buyer's credit. So this is a systemic issue, and we are talking to both companies as well as people in the Ministry of Commerce, and this this already has been flagged, and it's for everyone's consideration that this needs to be solved in a systemic level to move forward, because a huge chunk of business is going to come this way. Why this is an opportunity is that, again, like us, many of the nations are not able to support kind of a fund proposal of this sort. In case we are able to solve this, we are able to wrap our line of credit kind of budget under some kind of scheme which is bilaterally acceptable, then a lot of doors can open for us to do business. Again, when I've been talking to the Ministry of Defense and their military, they started talking about transfer of technology, especially when they are going for big ticket procurement of, let's say, aircraft or surface missile, coastal battery, or submarine shipbuilding or anything. Although right now it is not a deal breaker, but they keep mentioning about transfer of technology. And here I tend to think that this is exactly where we were in the 90s or early 2000s. And thereafter, we have moved from the offset clause to now asking for TOT, and now started making in India. So they are in the similar trajectory, possibly 10 to 15 years behind us. So that is where this country is moving. And if we are able to collaborate with them and have a genuine kind of an agreement, then this is an area they would prefer than simply buying from a reputed European company and using it. So they prefer technology development in their country. Offset clause, they have started asking for offset 30% in most of the deals. And again, like I said, more like what we have been doing and what we were doing earlier. And many of the European companies are not able to give qualitative offsets here. And like we know that offsets have not really borne fruit for us in India, and they have also started facing similar issues. So if we are able to read that problem that we faced and give them a solution that we would have liked, we will again have a lot of opportunity here. And the last point was about sanctions. They are very wary of being on the wrong side of law. And so they don't want to touch any equipment which may fall under sanctions, which pretty much means any Russian equipment. And that's again classified as a challenge, as an opportunity, because we have a huge Russian inventory. We have been indigenizing them. So we are having some kind of a joint venture which don't fall under sanction or CATSA. As soon as we tell that, they are very eager. And they now know that they want this equipment. They have had it in their inventory for a time, but now it doesn't fall under any sanction or CATSA, and they are very eager. So this is another area for our industry to consider. Now, just want to end with this slide, that what are the potential in this country. Now, Indonesia is a huge country. It has got 17,500 islands, only 6,000 inhabited. It's 1.9 square kilometer big country. It is the fourth populous country in the world, and they are growing. It has got $1.3 trillion economy, and their per capita is more than India's. It is 4,700 US dollars. And they're part of G20. So what this means is it is growing, it is rich, and it has got requirements. A huge island, and they are located at South China Sea and Indo-Pacific. Many of the straits, the choke points, go through this country. So the requirement of this country to develop their military is a given. It is going to develop, it is going to seek partners. And we will be wise to remember that these are the fact sheet of this country. They are situated in a very important place. They are a growing economy. They are already part of G20, $1.3 trillion economy, and huge population. So with this, I hope I have confirmed to my time, and I end my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions if any.
Thank you very much, sir, for providing such a detailed information about the bilateral strategic engagement with Indonesia, and also the various defense opportunities in the defense and security sector. Thank you very much once again. Now the time is nearing end. We would like to open the session briefly for 5 minutes for say to our audience. If they have any questions, we request them to raise their hands with the icons so we can identify them and bring them on voice so they can raise the questions accordingly. So, meanwhile, we had some question earlier. There was a question from one of our member asking about EPC. So let me just introduce. EPC is a nodal body working under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. We are representing over 13,000 members. Predominantly, a majority of them are from MSME segment. And we are present in over 8 offices throughout India. And we are the nodal agency for the Ministry of Commerce, which is facilitating various schemes for the promotion of trade in the engineering sector. We had a question from CubeFit Engineers that we will for the information of the participants, we will be sharing and uploading all the presentations and the recordings of the session online, as well as if you want, we can also share it on the email. You can write it out separately. And with the permission of all the speakers, so we will share their direct contacts and you can connect with them as per their consent. Captain Shivkumar sir, there's a question for you. What will be the process for registration and collaborations in Indonesia? Can you please explain?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Now, whenever an Indian company wants to do business here, like I said, you cannot approach user directly. That is, you can't approach their army, navy, air force, or their MOD directly. That doesn't mean you can't meet them. You can always, of course, meet them, have a presentation, and so on and so forth. But when it is a formal proposal that you want to bring to the table, then you take a local channel partner. What that means is it's a company which is registered in Indonesia. It is operating here, and you give a letter of approval for them to represent you in this country. So they will sit for all technical and price kind of negotiation and explanation. Take for example, we have Larsen Toubro Defense. They have taken a company here called BTI Indo Techno as a channel partner. So they, on their letterhead, have nominated them as their local partner in Indonesia. And this partner, BTI Defense, then approaches their Ministry of Defense or their Navy or their Army or Air Force and comes with a proposal that it is understood that the Ministry of Defense is looking for certain gun. And we, as a partner of a company based in India, have this gun under production, and we are happy to offer this for trials and for you to procure. And then that is how it is. Then it goes through the normal process of they'll ask you for the trials and it'll be
Yes, sir.
filtered, and the rest of the process is very much
Yes,
similar,
sir.
and which is globally accepted. And
Okay, sir.
once the
So
deal or
you want
the
to
contract
give any remarks,
so,
sir?
is
Concluding remarks,
concluded.
sir?
Sorry, I think Mr. Mayank is.
Okay, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. So once the deal progresses and they are happy with the product, they interact with our parent company through this channel partner. And that is how it works here. And there are other services that the channel partner provides, which is a different discussion. They come with their skill sets. They know the local conditions for business, and there is a certain way that business is done here. They understand that they will probably guide the parent company in India how to go about doing business, and how to pitch a product, how to have a scheme for marking up the price or down, or whichever way to help. So what I mean to say is that you have to go to the channel partner. They come with their set of skills, and that is a kind of a mandatory requirement. Very few deals are signed between government to government. It is predominantly done through channel.
Thank you, sir.
The second question I can see is that how can we connect with an Indonesian company? So the embassy will be happy to connect you with the company. You have to come with your company profile and what are the products that you are looking at exporting, what you're good at. And then we will try to connect you with a suitable channel partner. In fact, it is an ongoing process. We keep a check on the channel partners that we have. Some of them have been performing well earlier. Some of them have not performing good now. The same companies who were performing good 5-10 years back have not been able to perform that well now for some reasons, like change of the management in their company, or for various other factors. So it is a dynamic thing. And on a weekly or monthly basis, we realize that there are new players in the game, and some are able to deliver, some are not able to deliver. And the first point of contact for you should be the embassy. If you already are not aware of the players here. Otherwise, one can also approach an established channel partner directly, keeping the embassy in.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question just preceding to that. They're asking about that you talked about channel partners in Indonesia. Can you share more details, sir? If you have not addressed this, if you can share more details.
No, I just spoke about that only.
Acha, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Sir,
So I will share my email ID so that I think many of them wanted to know whom to get connected with. I will share my email ID and please feel free to send your proposal company profile to that email ID. We will peruse that and uh, as quickly as possible, we will revert to you with the reference for channel partners.
okay, sir, that will be very grateful to you, sir. Thank you. Sir, I'll be sir reading out. There are a few questions that members have written in the chat box, but it would have been helpful if they would have mentioned the speaker to whom they would want to raise to. But sir, I'll just read them out and would request, sir, if you can respond to them. The first question is that Satyaki Mukherjee, Mr. Satyaki Mukherjee from Century Extrusions is asking about, we are the regular partners of aluminum extrusions to BrahMos Aerospace. How could we become partners for companies in overseas like USA, Australia, and Russian defense companies? Suppose, sir, if you can.
Yeah, sure. I'll be ready to take on that. So, if you have already worked with BrahMos Aerospace, that should actually give you a flip or a jump board to approach other companies of the defense sector. So, you mentioned Australia and Russia. So, if you would know, BrahMos is already a joint venture with Russia. I think your connect with BrahMos can put you through Russia. Coming to any other companies which you are looking for abroad, you would be looking at a similar company which would be making, let's say, a missile casing or something of your expertise. Since you have mentioned only aluminium, I can't read the regular partners of aluminium. Some last word I can't read. So if that is so, first of all, Russia is there on the card. You're already with the biggest supersonic supplier missile product. Coming to Australia or other countries, you need to identify those companies. And I can say with confidence that I have a few of our clients have been cold calling also, and we have also reached out to people over emails, and we generally would get a response. I would say please go all out and approach them. Otherwise, in case you're not able to connect, I would always be there. I'll be sharing my contact at the end of the session once it is there. I'll take on Mayank. I'll take on the next one also. He says, please guide us in connected with some of the foreign defense companies. So what I would like to tell you, please identify your product. Don't have this come from Century Extrusions Satyaki Mukherjee same. So he says guide us connected with some foreign defense companies. Now I also interact on regular basis with the embassies and DAs in India. Like we are part of the UK India Business Council. We are knowledge partners with the US IBS, the India CEO Forum, the 2+2 dialogue. So we have these foreign companies or the requirements coming in. If you have a particular product in mind, and this is what I make, we can always connect you to the particular company. And even if you're looking for manufacturing or having a transfer technology with a foreign company and coming to India for its manufacturing, we can even do that. So feel free to reach out and we can get you connected with them. Mr. Vijay Bharati also had a question for MSMEs. If is there any orientation for getting to understand the defense requirement? What is the procedure for getting qualified for supplying to defense sector? Now, the best thing is the positive indigenous relations. As I understand, the entire forum is mainly comprising of the MSME sector or the companies who want to diversify into defense manufacturing. Now, this positive indigenization list is the first step, I should say. Once you go to, if you would go to the Department of Defense Production Srijan portal or Make in India, it gives out the list of the entire 1,500 products which they have to be indigenized by the DPSUs, and they are looking for Indian partners to do it. They give a design specification, they give the quantity which has been imported in the last 5 years. Now, based on that search, if you can filter out what you can make and what is your capability and what you can pitch for, that would be much better. And then through DDP, you can approach it. Now, in case you are a solution provider, if you're looking to be a solution provider, so all the service headquarters and DRDO and the MOD are running these initiatives like Technology Development Fund with DRDO. Then we have the IDEX initiative running with the Ministry of Defense. Then the Army Design Bureau in Army headquarters comes up with CPDS, which is the compendium of problem definition statements. It's available online. Every year it is renewed. So if we can go through that, read through that, there are one-page problem statements given out by all the service headquarters. And if you are a solution provider, you can directly approach them on the email ID. And you can always say, this is the solution that you're looking at. And I would look forward to I look forward to provide you this solution. Even if we are an MSME but I have this solution, we can always be part of this. That is a few of the ways that you can join the bandwagon of defense production. Sachin has raised his hand. Sachin, can you please unmute yourself and yeah.
Yeah. So we are a manufacturer based out of Kolhapur, a small town near Pune.
Yeah,
We are
I have been there. I have traveled. I'm a Fauji, so I have traveled pan India. So Kolhapur, I totally remember. Yeah. Please, Sachin,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
So we are into manufacturing. We are a foundry and a machine shop supplying to a lot of hydraulic component manufacturers as well as transmission manufacturers as well as engine manufacturers.
Right.
But the problem with this engineering manufacturers is that they don't really have a platform from where to start, because we have never worked with any defense.
Right.
Our problem, though we have a potential, so we have reached from hardly 20 crore rupees to almost 100 crore company in last 5 years. So we have been doing very great with all the MNCs that are there, where we are approachable. We know how to reach them. We know how to pitch to them, and we know how to get business from them. But defense is a arena where it's very hard for someone. We are not very established, but at least having a 100 crore company and we being an MSME, trying to find out what is the actual way of doing business with defense is very hard for we MSMEs. So if you could just quickly elaborate how it is to be done or which websites to go to, and if you could create a small thread, we can hold that thread and try to do something in that sector.
Sure. So going very specific with Sachin's question, so you are majorly into supplying components and to the engine manufacturers, right? So
engine, transmission as well as hydraulic.
Right, I get it. I have been part of a similar organization when in the army. We were part of the base workshops. So I would say that in case you want to continue and be a defense supplier as far as India is concerned, 90% of our defense procurement coming out of whatever you are specifically manufacturing has gone on to GEM. So it's gone in a GEM. So in the government departments, it's very difficult to procure from, being an independent person and procuring from somebody on whims and fancies if it's available on GEM. So I suggest that the first thing that you should try to be is on GEM, and with the kind of products that you supply, that will open the doors not only with the MOD, it will open the door for the entire government sector for you, right? So then coming down to specifically, since you are supplying to the engine manufacturers who subsequently supply to maybe the vehicle integrator, maybe I should say a Tata or a Ashok Leyland, who's integrating this on the system to the entire platform. I seriously would say that in case you want to diversify into defense, Srijan portal is one place that you should be. You will get that flip for with your expertise that you already have. You can get into the vehicle manufacturing, which are generally the tanks and the smaller tanks versions or the gun parts, which with your existing expertise you would be able to diversify into that. And these components have been traditionally coming from Russia and being outsourced to MSMEs around the two major factories located out of Chennai and Medak. But definitely this would be there. In fact, I should say, since you're located in Kolhapur, the nearest thing where you can get your products, or in case you are making something, would be an army-based workshop located out of Pune, and they do the overhauls of the tanks at their location, and they would definitely need your spares. But again, going back, two things: Srijan portal and then registering yourself on GEM. Sachin, you had something to say. I think you were saying something.
Yeah, so this is one. The other thing, being into component manufacturing, we have already started developing our own products. Like, for
Right.
example, India has been importing firefighting pumps, which sit on the
Right.
fire tenders. So
Right.
they have these Indian integrators have been importing these kind of assemblies or these kind of very high-end pumps from Europe, and with that opportunity, we could indigenize these kind of products. So we have ourselves put a design team and doing all these things, and we launched that product taking a CE and UL marking as well. So we would like
Right.
to, so as an MSME, we would like to get into these kind of products where they are being imported, and we would like to design and develop this thing. So which would be the best platform to search for such products or get in touch with people where we can understand that yes, the defense has this kind of requirement. If we could replicate these parts that they have been importing from Russia or Europe, anywhere in Europe, this is the way we can do it. So we are unable to find that channel, how to find out these inquiries.
Right. So as I mentioned again, if you go through this region portal or this positive indigenization list and the manufacturing for the DPSU which has come out, these components with the listing and how much import has been done in last 5 years is mentioned on this region portal of Department of Defense production. It has got all kind of components starting from the helicopters, the Russian origin helicopters or the foreign origin helicopters, or the requirement of MSMEs which they have been importing for the tanks and the smaller version of tanks called the BMPs in India, for the guns which are imported or which are being manufactured in India. Those already mentioned specifically for them. In case you want a list of the products which are there, it is there first of all for the DPSUs to be there. In case you are looking out to be part of the overall defense ecosystem with the bigger platforms in the corporate sector, then we can always align and get you through to them, because we speak on the CEO forum where we have the Bharat people of the caliber of Bharat Forge or L&T coming to us. We can always put you to that level in case there is something that you would sub-assembly, and they would always have a problem statement. As I mentioned, the problem statements are always there on one of the other portals. So in case, Mayank, I will share the CPDS with you, which is for the innovation of the entire platform, in case somebody would be interested.
Fine,
And
sir.
and with Mayank, I'll also share this link of the Surgeon portal of Department of Defense production and the list which is already there with the quantity imported. Now, it is actually on your business acumen to decide that if I can indigenize this little component of a tank or a BMP, what would be the market for that? And for that, these the newly formed DPS which are there are already reaching out to MSMEs only to do that. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, you answered it well. I would appreciate if you could share your contact details. So in case we need
I'll do
some,
that once the presentation I'll be putting in on this thing.
please. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Welcome,
much.
Vijay.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, we request the audience if there any, we can take one last question. If anyone would like to raise the hand and
Yeah, I would like to. I would like to.
please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, my name is Abhay. Now, I would like to ask a very specific question. I have been hearing about Lieutenant Colonel, sir. I heard from you about Srijan portal and also the other one, the GEM portal. Unfortunately, see, my experience about Srijan, now we do large fabrications right up to very large complicated assemblies, right up to 4 tons. These may contain, the bomb may contain 200, 300 parts, something like that. Now, Srijan portal is frozen for some time. Let's say there is an item posted by BML. So it is there from since July. There is no further movement. I have shown my interest for several times. Then GEM portal has more inquiries for nuts, bolts, phenyl, brooms, and consumable items like that. A sumo on hire, small fabricated shed for a car or a used car, something like that. I hope you are getting me. Please take
Yes,
it
yes,
in
yes, I
positive.
totally understand. Let me amplify it here. We have got very this thing. So as you would understand, we have Abhay sir.
Ji, sir.
We have
Ji, sir.
we have a total of about 15 lakh plus Army, Navy, and Air Force sitting in the country. and more from the government has mandated that the entire procurement, starting from the basic cup of tea till the clothing and the spares and revenue and everything and outsourcing, including hiring of vehicles, has to be on GEM. So a lot of queries, of course, of that can come on GEM. Now I will answer your question, which you say that you are a manufacturer and you have been sorry, can I get you, where are you located, sir? I can then frame
Pune,
my answer according to your
Pune, sir.
environment and the places around, right?
Pune, sir.
You
Pune.
are in Pune.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like amazing. It brings a lot of memories back. Pune, I have been there. I've been in extended, done my training there. Then I was at CME for quite some time. Then I was at DIAT also. So quite
Right.
5 or 6 years spent in Pune. So now what happens is, sir, the kind of manufacturing or the customization that you are saying that I can do of this kind. Now these don't come as a specific solution for the Pan Army. Right. When we let's say Army decides, or they decide that we want to procure a particular vehicle of 800 kg capacity, and the Safaris and the Scorpios and the equivalents will participate, and they would get into and they'll be procured. But your kind of work, which talking of customization, containerization, are very specific to a particular area of operation. That is why I asked you where you are located. So maybe in the mountainous terrain, we are not looking for these kind of containerization. But if I have to fight across, the army requires to move across the deserts or the plains of Punjab, or in the northeast on the plains or the central India, there for the signal equipment or a particular equipment, they're looking for designing it. Now this becomes a very particular solution which has to be customized according to the formation which is located there. A very particular formation which is located there, which is going to operate in that area. Now, coming from, if you are in Pune, the approach that you would have is, I believe, for the Northern Theatre, which is called the Northern Command of the Army, they have these regular interactions with the industry to come in. I'm not very sure of Southern Command, which is located in Pune, whether they are having these interactions with you or not. But as a containerized or this thing fabricator, these solutions can be pitched directly to the command, because your solutions which you are giving are very custom, or very custom requirement for the people who would be taking on operations in the Western India or the Southern India, where they would require your solutions. Now, once you approach them with your customized solution and then you ask them their problem statement, I suggest, if I would not be able to let you, but through Mayank, if I can get this contact, I'll share these details or person to contact in the Southern Command, where you can approach them with your customized solution. If you're looking for fabrication of shelters or fabrication of shelters which can be mounted on vehicles, both these would find applications across India, and we do a lot of we means the forces do a lot of purchasing from them, and they're very theater specific. So your solutions have to be specific to them. And now, lastly, before I say, there are special funds which are allocated to these formations to cater for the localized operational requirements. So a shelter of your kind might not be required in Kashmir, but definitely would be required when I'm operating in Rajasthan or Punjab. So these would help you to do that. And Abhay sir, I would definitely like to connect with you on this. And I've shared my contact number with the exact, if you can ping me on WhatsApp, this exact requirement. And for you, I'll find out the contact details and share it with you, sir. Anybody else located in Pune also,
Thank you very
through
much.
Mayank, I'll do that. So what I was trying to tell you was, these financial powers there, or the funds allocation, which are localized to the commands, would to fulfill the local operational requirements, where fabricators like you, or if you're providing shelters which can can be carried in the mountains and put up there for soldiers operating on the line of control, these can always be taken up. The correct the thing is to approach and correct person, and they would definitely pick you up. Army is always looking for its solutions. I know it has been a very closed environment from last 20-30 years. The sector is opening up, and I seriously recommend for you to go through this CPDS. Mayank sir, I'll share it with you on your email ID. It's an open source thing, compendium of problem definition statements. please share it with the forum. And if you have a solution of any of these 150 odd them listed by the army, and please go ahead and take it up as a challenge and go ahead with it.
Okay, sir. Grateful to you, sir.
Yeah. Abhay, sir, I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir, very, very much. Thank you very much to all the authorities from top to
Sir,
bottom,
I would
the
say, sir,
political
after
leadership and the leadership otherwise as well. Thank you very much.
Sir, the Indian defense industry will never be able to progress to a level that we talk about this forum, to the platform export level or BDL going for export of Akash, if the MSME ecosystem is not supporting it. Whether it is the DPSUs or the bigger defense corporates, it is definitely requires a lot of support coming from the MSME sector. The economic and technology spin-off, once these people come up in India, or we have this FDI in defense coming up to 100%, the first one. In fact, yesterday I was with Saab, so they were trying to tell me where we should go for the industry. Saab got the first FDI clearance 100%, and they are looking for establishing a shoulder launch rocket launcher factory in India, which will fulfill the requirements. But again, the only thing that we can tell them is you may have a factory, but you can't. We are a platform integrator, but the MSME have to support it, and that is why even for defense, we always talk of this thing that MSMEs are going to be the game turner for the defense sectors also.
Right. Thank you, sir.
So, sir, thank you very much, and it had been a very useful an informative session we had today. Sir, our chairman our deputy chairman had to leave a little early, so I will take this opportunity to extend the formal vote of thanks. Okay, Mr. Kunal, you had one question. Sorry, just.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Taposh, for answering the question so very well. I think it answered a lot of my personal questions. But my question is piggybacking on what Abhay ji was asking. We are a custom engineering component manufacturing company. So we do a lot of exports wherein we get drawings and specifications from the companies, and we fabricate and machine components primarily for industrial hydraulic applications. So we are doing that very well, and we have a complete factory with machining, fabrication, finishing setup. However, when we look at GEM, or I just looked up at Srijan, thank you for mentioning that. So my challenge happens there is, like Abhay was also saying, there's a lot of inquiries for, very specific products like nuts, bolts, things like that. And I tried to also rope in a third party to help me, list my products or, get me to GEM. The challenge was like we couldn't tell them like what we manufacture or, what do we post, because we do custom manufacturing, and we have an entire setup where we can support defense. We are doing products which are very quality products for exports to places like Germany, Australia, New Zealand. And we are not able to do anything in the defense. And I'm sitting in Lucknow, wanting to expand and do more things in this, only primarily depending on exports. So how do we pin down to what to write, what can we manufacture on the GEM portal? So that becomes a real big challenge.
Right. So I have got a pretty customized solution for everybody in India. For you, I would say please approach UPIDA. I have got no, I'm not. It's not a KPMG platform, but yes, since I am also looking after the UP Defense Industrial Corridor. I have a team sitting there, and your specific questions can be answered there. You sitting in Lucknow.
Yes.
I have shared my number on the chat.
Yes.
If you can get in touch with me, I'll put you to the right person for approaching for the defense industrial corridor and the kind of industry which is coming in, and what kind of economic spin-off or the MSMEs they are looking for in the UP defense industrial corridor.
Super. So I think that will be wonderful. But
I think yeah. So next time I'm in Lucknow, I think we should. Sorry, man, we are using it as a personal platform.
It's
So
okay,
yeah, I
sir.
think that will be wonderful. But do you have any advice for what should we post on Gem portal? Like, how do we do that?
Sir, if
Sir,
you, sorry to interrupt in between, sir, that's now around 2 hours, like we are
Okay,
over time. So if we would request, sir, if you can directly connect with Mr. Taposh.
I will do that. Thank you,
That will
Taposh.
definitely help.
Kunal, we will connect, right?
Thank you
If
so
not on
much.
this end, we'll definitely meet up in Lucknow. Sorry, man, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you
And
very much, sir. Yeah. Our deputy regional chairman just left just a little time, just little while ago. So we would now like to conclude the session with our sincere vote of thanks, and I would like to take this opportunity to extend this vote of thanks. Captain Shiv Kumar, Defense Attaché, Embassy of India in Indonesia and Timor-Leste, Dr. Saroj Bishoi, Research Fellow, Vivekanand Institute International Foundation, Lieutenant Colonel Taposh Munjal, Associate Director, Aerospace and Defense, KPMG, and Mr. Balpreet Singh, Senior Consultant, Ernst & Young. Sir, we are all very grateful to you that you spared your valuable time today and shared such a wonderful information with us. And we are really grateful to you, and we're looking forward to your continued support and association with us. And we are also very thankful to our esteemed members, audience who have joined us today and made this session really productive. And we look forward. And for the necessary information, I must share that from tomorrow we having dedicated sessions in different segments of defense manufacturing. Tomorrow forenoon session we'll be having a session on sourcing opportunities in aerospace and defense. That would be, I beg your pardon, that would be in the defense shipyard and Indian naval and defense shipyard segment. So the first forenoon session will be on the shipyards. Then second session will be sourcing opportunities in the aerospace and defense. Then the day after we'll be having a session on new OFP sourcing opportunities with the new defense PSUs. Sorry, that would be the erstwhile Ordnance Factory Board. Then the later noon, then we'll having a session on Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. Then we having one session. The last day we'll be having a dedicated session on encouraging defense exports. So many of the questions which are having today might be relevant for that session also. And those members who have not yet registered and would like to join the session can go and register on the link that we had shared with them. And the last session would be on the technology collaboration with and various schemes which are being provided by Ministry of Defense. And so that will be concluding on 8th of December. So thank you very much, all our esteemed participants, and we are really grateful for you for having spared your valuable time with us. Thank you very much, sir. We conclude the session now. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.